What if the way you've been making money is slowly costing your soul? That question might sound dramatic, but take a breath and let it linger for a moment. Because what if it's true? What if your daily grind, your endless chasing of numbers, applause, or security, has quietly been trading away pieces of your spirit, so subtly you didn't even notice? In the next 72 hours, your relationship with money could shift forever. The words you use, the thoughts you repeat, the silent agreements you've made with yourself about success, all of them are shaping your destiny. You may not see it yet, but you are speaking your fortune into existence every day. Sometimes in ways that bless you, other times in ways that bind you. I've spent years learning how the ancient Jewish masters understood money, not as a curse, not as a test, but as a sacred tool. In their wisdom, wealth is neither good nor bad. It is energy, shaped by intention. They believe that the way you earn, save, and give reflects who you truly are. Not your bank balance, not your title, not your possessions, but your essence. That is what this journey is about. Learning the 10 ancient Jewish rules for making money without losing your soul. And I promise you, by the time we reach the last one, you won't look at your wallet, your work, or even your worth the same way again. But before we begin, I want you to do something powerful. Down in the comments, write one sentence that describes your current relationship with money. Just one. It could be something like, money gives me freedom, or money always slips away, or money makes me anxious. Whatever it is, be honest. You might not realize it yet, but this sentence will become a mirror, the kind that doesn't lie. As you travel through these lessons, you'll watch that sentence change meaning. It's your starting point, your signature on a personal contract with truth. Now, let me tell you why this matters. In the Talmud, it's said that every word carries a vibration, a creative power. When you declare your truth, even in a simple comment, you open the gates of transformation. That small act of participation turns you from a passive listener into an active co-creator of your own story. So take a moment, write your sentence. Because in a few minutes we're stepping into a world where money is not an enemy, not a prize, but a living current. One that flows toward those who treat it with reverence. And when you understand that, something begins to shift. You stop chasing wealth like a thief running in the night. Instead, wealth starts chasing you, drawn by the purity of your intention, by the light of your integrity. Now let's begin with the first rule, the one that turns money from a curse into a blessing. Wealth in its truest form was never meant to be feared. In ancient Jewish wisdom, it was considered a blessing, a bracha, a divine tool given not to corrupt the soul but to refine it. The first rule is simple yet profound. See wealth as a blessing, not a curse. It may sound obvious, but think about how most people speak about money. Money changes people. Money ruins lives. Money is evil. These phrases hide a subtle poison. They separate us from abundance before it even reaches us. The Jewish sages, however, taught something radical. Money reveals who you already are. It does not corrupt a pure heart. It magnifies it. It does not destroy integrity. It tests it. The Talmud says that when a person earns honestly, with effort and humility, their work becomes a sacred act, a form of avodah, divine service. To make money with clean hands is not greed. It's worship. To build something of value that benefits others is not vanity. It's creation. When the Creator formed the world, He didn't print coins or sign contracts. He spoke light into being. That same light flows through your labor when your intention is pure. But here's where the blessing becomes complicated. Because when money enters your life, it brings both freedom and fire. It can build hospitals, or it can build prisons of ego. It can feed the hungry, or it can feed the void within you. The same blessing that heals can also consume, if you forget why it was given in the first place. My grandfather used to say, "Money is like rain. It doesn't ask where to fall, but only the fertile soil can make it bloom." That line stayed with me. He wasn't a scholar, but he lived the Torah through his hands, always giving, always grateful, even when he had little. He taught me that wealth is not measured by what you own, but by what you can release without fear. If you treat money as a curse, it runs from you. If you chase it as an idol, it mocks you. But when you hold it as a partner in creation, it multiplies, not only in your accounts, but in your heart. So the first transformation is this: stop apologizing for wanting abundance. Stop feeling guilty for desiring a better life. The universe doesn't reward shame, it rewards alignment. When your reason for earning is to build, to bless, to serve, you have already sanctified your success. Yet even those who understand this fall into a trap. They recognize money as a blessing, but they forget the one condition that keeps that blessing alive: a sacred boundary that decides whether your fortune nourishes your soul or slowly poisons it. And that brings us to the second rule, one that exposes the fine line between earning and exploiting. The second rule is this: earn with ethics, never exploit. Because the moment you use another person's weakness to strengthen your wealth, that wealth begins to rot from the inside. You can't see it at first. The profit looks clean. The account grows. You may even celebrate your cleverness, but somewhere, quietly, your peace begins to fade. The sleepless nights come. The guilt whispers. You feel it not in your wallet, but in your chest. Jewish wisdom doesn't separate morality from money. In fact, the Talmud teaches that one of the first questions a soul is asked after death is, did you conduct your business faithfully? Not how much you gave, not how much you made, but whether your hands remained clean in the pursuit. To make an honest living is a form of righteousness. To manipulate others for gain is a form of theft, even when it's legal. There's an old story my teacher once told me. A merchant in Jerusalem sold olive oil. Every week he'd pour it himself for his customers, careful to measure every drop fairly. One day, a friend said, "You could make more money if you filled the bottles a little short. No one would notice." The merchant smiled sadly. "They may not notice," he said, "but heaven will." That same week, a storm flooded the market and ruined the shops around him, except his. His honesty, it seemed, had built invisible walls of protection. Modern psychology echoes the same truth. When you act against your values even slightly, your brain feels it. The conflict between conscience and action creates stress. Your nervous system interprets it as danger. Over time, that tension erodes your focus, your health, your joy. You might have the house, the car, the business, but the peace that money was supposed to bring never arrives. To earn with ethics doesn't mean being naive. It means understanding that abundance built on deceit is a debt waiting to be collected. You can trick others for a season, but you cannot trick your own soul. It keeps the receipts. So before every deal, ask yourself one question: would I still be proud of this transaction if no one ever found out? That single thought can save you from a lifetime of regret. Because money gained by integrity multiplies, not only materially but spiritually. It carries a different energy. It stays longer, flows smoother, blesses more. But money gained by harm brings its own destruction. It invites chaos into the home of the dishonest. And yet, even among those who strive to live honestly, there's a deeper principle that almost everyone overlooks, one that flips the entire idea of wealth upside down. It's not about what you gain first, it's about what you give first. The third rule says this: give before you gain. It sounds backward, almost foolish in a world that rewards accumulation, not generosity. But the wisdom of tzedakah, righteous giving, has endured for millennia precisely because it defies ordinary logic. In spiritual law, generosity is not an act of charity, it is an act of creation. In Hebrew, tzedakah doesn't simply mean charity. It comes from tzedek, meaning justice. When you give, you're not performing a favor. You're restoring balance to the world. You acknowledge that nothing you possess is truly yours. You're merely a caretaker of what flows through you. The more freely you let it flow, the more abundantly it returns. Think of a river. When it's blocked, it stagnates. The water darkens, the life within it fades. But when the current is allowed to move, it cleanses itself. Money works the same way. When you clutch it in fear, it decays. When you release it with gratitude, it grows. There's a story told by the Hasidic master Rabbi Zusha. A man once asked him, "Why should I give when I barely have enough for myself?" Zusha smiled and said, "Because you only barely have enough when your hand is closed. Try opening it and see how much fits inside." Giving before you gain is not a punishment. It's preparation. It tells heaven that you are ready to receive without greed. When you give even a small amount, your time, your attention, your skill, you announce to the universe, "I trust the source of my supply." And trust, in spiritual terms, is a magnet for blessing. I once knew a young woman who began her business with almost nothing. Every month she donated 10% of whatever she made, even when it was painfully small. Her accountant told her it was a mistake. Yet within 2 years, her income tripled. She didn't just build a company, she built faith. "Every time I gave," she told me, "I felt like I was watering my future." The act of giving sharpens your awareness. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw scarcity. You notice how your smallest acts ripple outward: a meal shared, a donation made, a kindness offered. Wealth becomes not a measure of what you keep, but of what you circulate. So here's a challenge. Before this week ends, give something, not out of surplus, but out of intention. Give while it still stretches you. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's a word of encouragement to someone who's forgotten their worth. Because when you give before you gain, you enter the rhythm of divine flow. You stop being a reservoir and become a river. But beware, there's a hidden danger waiting at the other end of that flow, one that traps even the most generous souls: the illusion that comfort equals completion. The fourth rule warns us of a quiet, seductive danger. Never confuse comfort with completion. Or, as my grandfather used to phrase it, the moment you stop rowing, the current starts carrying you backward. This is the mistake of the complacent soul, the one who, after small victories, lowers his guard and believes he's already won. But Jewish wisdom teaches that life is movement. To rest in false satisfaction is to drift toward decline. There is no stillness in purpose. There is only growth or decay. The sages said that even God, after 6 days of creation, didn't stop working. He shifted his energy from forming to sustaining. Creation is an ongoing act. Likewise, your prosperity is not a final product. It's a living process that demands your continued engagement. In simple terms, work is sacred. In Hebrew, the word for work, avodah, also means worship. The act of labor, done with integrity, connects the material and the divine. That's why laziness is more than a bad habit. It's spiritual neglect. It's refusing to participate in the unfolding of creation. A friend of mine once said something that stuck with me. When I stopped learning because I thought I knew enough, everything I built started falling apart. He had achieved financial success, but he'd lost the spark that made his work meaningful. His comfort slowly became his cage. Psychologists might call it the success trap, when your brain interprets achievement as an excuse to stop evolving. You lower the challenge, you stop stretching, and your internal fire dims. But the Torah calls this slumber. Not physical sleep, spiritual sleep. The kind that steals your hunger for purpose. That's why in Proverbs it says, "A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty will come like a thief." Poverty doesn't always mean lack of money. Sometimes it means lack of passion, lack of meaning, lack of drive. In Jewish thought, success is not a state to be reached, but a state to be renewed daily. Every morning when you wake, the ancient prayer says, "Modeh ani lefanesha," I thank you for restoring my soul. It's a reminder that you have work to do, that your very breath is proof that your mission isn't finished. So the next time you feel settled, ask yourself, have I truly arrived or have I simply stopped growing? The difference is life itself, because the universe doesn't reward those who rest too soon. It rewards those who stay in motion, humble, curious, awake. But there's a more subtle truth underneath this one, a hidden language that defines whether you move forward or get stuck. It's not in your actions, but in your words. And that leads us to the next rule, one of the most mystical and misunderstood of all. Speak of abundance, not lack. Words are not sounds. They are seeds. Every sentence you speak plants something in the invisible soil of your reality. And that is why the fifth rule is one of the most powerful and dangerous of them all. Speak of abundance, not lack. In Hebrew, mysticism, speech is creation. The very universe, according to Genesis, began with words. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. What you declare with your mouth, you summon into existence. When you say, "I'll never have enough," the universe listens. When you say, "I'm cursed with bad luck," the world adjusts around that belief. It isn't superstition, it's vibration. Ancient Jewish sages believed that every word carries spiritual frequency. The word Baruch, blessed, expands energy outward. The word Dayenu, it is enough, anchors gratitude. But words of complaint, fear, and scarcity close the gates of flow. They instruct your mind to prepare for survival, not creation. I remember visiting an old rabbi in Tzfat who told me, "Don't say I'm broke. Say, I'm between blessings." He said it with a grin, but his eyes were serious. Because heaven only fills vessels that are open. A closed declaration, "I have nothing," seals your cup. Psychology agrees. Studies show that repeated negative affirmations activate the brain's threat response. Your body floods with stress hormones. You stop seeing opportunities because your brain is literally preparing for loss. But when you speak of possibility, your mind releases dopamine and opens neural pathways for creativity. In other words, your biology obeys your vocabulary. It's not about lying to yourself or pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing words that align with faith, not fear. Saying, "I'm learning to manage money better," is not denial, it's direction. Saying, "I always fail at this," is not honesty, it's hypnosis. Here's the truth. Reality bends toward the tongue that blesses it. Every time you say, "I'm grateful," something in the unseen rearranges itself. Gratitude expands your energetic space. Fear contracts it. So tonight, before you sleep, listen to how you speak about your life. Do your words reflect trust or tension? Are you naming light or confirming darkness? Because your speech is a mirror of your spirit, and your spirit is the architect of your reality. Start small. Replace "I can't afford this" with "How can I create the means?" Replace "Everything's falling apart" with "Everything is rearranging for my growth." These subtle shifts turn you from victim to co-creator. But remember, this rule isn't only about you. The language you use doesn't just shape your bank account, it shapes your relationships, your community, your world. And to understand that ripple, to see how prosperity truly multiplies, we need to go deeper beyond the individual into something far greater, the power of community. The sixth rule reveals something essential. Prosperity is a collective force, not a private victory. In the Jewish tradition, wealth is never meant to isolate you. It is meant to connect you. A blessing that stops with you becomes a burden, but when it moves through you, when it nourishes others, it turns into light. There's a concept called aravut, mutual responsibility. It means that every soul is bound to another, like threads in a single divine fabric. Your success, therefore, is not yours alone. It ripples through unseen networks of people who cross your path. When you help another rise, you elevate yourself. When you hoard your blessings, they stagnate and slowly lose life. In the book of Leviticus, farmers were commanded not to harvest the corners of their fields, leaving them for the poor. Think about that. It was not optional charity. It was built into the rhythm of their prosperity. Every field had a space where generosity was expected, a constant reminder that abundance is communal. I saw this truth vividly when I met a businessman in Tel Aviv who practiced it in a modern way. For every new client he gained, he funded a small scholarship for a student in need. He said it kept his soul clean. When I give, he told me, I remember that I'm not the source. I'm the channel. His company grew faster than anyone expected, but more than growth, it carried grace. People trusted him because his wealth was never just about him. Modern economics teaches competition. Ancient wisdom teaches contribution. One drains, the other multiplies. You cannot build a lasting fortune from isolation, because isolation dries the roots of joy. Money alone cannot nourish the heart. Meaning can. Ask yourself, when you win, who wins with you? Who feels the echo of your success? Maybe it's your family, your team, your neighbors, even strangers who will never know your name. The question isn't, how much can I get? But how many can I bless? And here's the paradox. The more you give, the more abundance finds you. Not because of mystical luck, but because generosity builds trust, and trust builds opportunity. People sense integrity. The universe senses flow. This rule invites a shift. Stop chasing individual prosperity. Start cultivating shared prosperity. When you see others as competitors, you shrink your world. When you see them as co-creators, you expand it. So this week, try this. Share one resource, one idea, or one word of encouragement with someone who's striving like you. No expectation, no transaction, just participation in the current of abundance. Because in the end, wealth is not what you own, it's what you circulate. But there's still one deeper danger that must be faced. The moment when prosperity turns from servant to master. And that brings us to the next rule. Let money serve you. Never serve money. Money is meant to be your servant, not your ruler. Yet most people spend their entire lives bowing to it, praying to it, fearing its absence, and chasing its shadow. The seventh rule is therefore a sacred reversal. Let money serve you, never serve money. This is not a call to renounce wealth, it's a call to reclaim mastery over it. In the Talmud, wealth is called mammon, and it is said that a person's true character is revealed by how they handle it. Money is neutral, like fire. It can warm your home or burn it to ashes. The difference lies in who's holding the torch. The danger begins the moment money becomes your identity. When you start measuring your worth by your balance sheet, your soul begins to shrink. You no longer make decisions from purpose but from pressure. Every conversation becomes a transaction. Every relationship becomes a negotiation. You start having more, but feeling less. I once knew a man who built an empire of glass towers and steel offices. He was admired, feared, envied, but never loved. When illness struck, he realized too late that his entire life had been a trade, connection for control, joy for status. I didn't own my wealth, he said quietly. It owned me. Contrast that with another man I met, a humble craftsman who made wooden furniture. His workshop was small, but his smile was vast. He said, "Money is my student. I tell it where to go. I never let it tell me who to be." He paid his workers fairly, rested on the Sabbath, gave without counting. He didn't chase abundance, he attracted it. Because peace, not greed, guided his hands. Serving money is slavery disguised as ambition. It whispers, just one more deal, just one more goal, then you'll rest. But that rest never comes. Because the master you're serving has no compassion, only hunger. To make money serve you, you must define its purpose. Every coin, every dollar, every paycheck should have a destination that reflects your values. Ask yourself, does my money feed life or vanity? Does it build bridges or walls? The soul suffers not from wealth, but from wealth without meaning. Jewish ethics teaches that true prosperity is not how much you accumulate, but how freely you direct what you have toward goodness. Money is a tool, and tools are meant to build, not bind. So here's your reflection. List 3 ways money currently serves you, and 1 way you might be serving it instead. Be honest. Awareness is liberation, because once you master this rule, money stops being an idol and becomes an ally. It follows your will instead of dictating it. Yet mastery brings a new challenge. One that tests not just how you use your money, but why. For the next rule, we step into the realm of legacy. Invest for meaning, not vanity. The 8th rule reaches beyond the horizon of your lifetime. Invest for legacy, not vanity. Because money that dies with you was never truly yours. It merely passed through your hands. Legacy, on the other hand, is wealth that keeps breathing long after you're gone. In Jewish tradition, inheritance isn't measured in silver or land, it's measured in values. The Talmud says, "The righteous leave their wisdom to their children." It means that your greatest investment isn't what you store in a vault, but what you plant in people. A lesson shared, a kindness repeated, a structure built with integrity, these outlast empires. But vanity whispers differently. It tells you that success must be seen to be real. It urges you to chase symbols instead of substance. The bigger car, the louder applause, the fleeting spotlight. Vanity spends, legacy sows. One fades when you do, the other grows when you're gone. I remember visiting an old philanthropist in Jerusalem who funded schools, shelters, and libraries, all anonymously. His name was never carved into marble, but his presence lived in the laughter of children he'd never meet. He once told me, "I'm not giving for my name. I'm giving to outlive it." Those words stayed with me. He wasn't investing in memory. He was investing in continuity. Legacy investment is not only about money, it's about the invisible seeds you plant in hearts. Maybe it's mentoring someone who reminds you of your younger self. Maybe it's teaching your child gratitude. Maybe it's building a company that treats its workers with dignity. Each act becomes part of your spiritual portfolio. In Jewish mysticism, this is called zechut, the merit that your actions generate in the world. Every time you act with kindness, justice, or humility, you create ripples that return in unseen ways, sometimes in your lifetime, sometimes generations later. But legacy requires patience. Vanity demands immediacy. Vanity shouts, "Look at me now." Legacy whispers, "Let them remember what I stood for." Vanity measures in moments. Legacy measures in centuries. To shift from vanity to legacy, start asking deeper questions. Will what I'm building still have meaning in 50 years? Does my success leave the world kinder, fairer, wiser? Will my children inherit not just my possessions, but my principles? A wise rabbi once said, "Your money will outlive you. The question is whether your soul will live within it." When you invest with vision, your wealth becomes a vessel for light, carrying your essence forward long after your voice falls silent. So pause and ask yourself now, what will your fortune say about you when you are no longer here? What story will your money tell? Because every coin carries a story. And how you spend, save, or share it decides whether that story ends with you or begins because of you. But there's one final layer to this path: the integration of all these truths into a single principle: prosperity that nourishes both body and soul. The final rule is not a commandment, it is a culmination. True prosperity is the harmony between growth and humility, between wealth and wisdom, between the hand that earns and the soul that guides it. You've learned 9 rules that shape how money moves through your life, but the 10th one determines whether that movement becomes music or noise. It begins with remembrance. Your soul is the ultimate asset. Everything else, gold, status, success, is temporary currency. The rabbis taught that when a person stands before heaven, one of the first questions asked is, "Did you conduct your business with integrity?" Not, "Did you win?" but "Did you stay whole while trying?" That's the real measure of abundance. Humility, then, is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's remembering that every blessing you hold is borrowed light. The more you receive, the more carefully you must carry it. Wealth, when guided by humility, becomes service. It transforms from self-importance to stewardship. You no longer ask, "How much can I have?" but "How much good can I do with what I have?" But this final rule is not only spiritual, it's practical. Because a person grounded in humility makes better financial decisions. Pride rushes, fear clutches, Humility observes, listens, discerns. It allows you to pause before investing, to negotiate without greed, to celebrate without arrogance. It turns your journey with money into a meditation, not a race. And growth, the other half of this rule, ensures that humility doesn't turn into complacency. The Torah begins with creation, not comfort. God expands, and so must you. Each day you're invited to create something new, a project, an act of kindness, a moment of beauty. That creative motion is divine imitation. Growth without humility becomes pride. Humility without growth becomes stagnation. Together, they form balance, the truest expression of prosperity. When you integrate all 10 rules, you stop chasing wealth and start cultivating it. You stop fearing loss because you understand that real richness can't be taken. It lives in how you think, speak, and give. You become the kind of person to whom money is drawn naturally because your energy is clean, your purpose clear. So now, return to the sentence you wrote in the beginning, the one that captured your relationship with money. Read it again. Does it still fit? Or has something inside you shifted? Write it again, this time as a declaration, not a confession. Let your words mark the beginning of a new covenant with abundance. You've learned how to earn with ethics, how to give before you gain, how to speak life into your wealth, and how to let money serve the soul. But the journey doesn't end here. It only deepens. Because beyond prosperity lies something even greater, the wisdom of contentment, the art of having everything without needing more.